Twitter accepts Elon Musk's bid to buy the company. Goodbye, Twitter. Hashtag goodbye, Twitter. Twitter accepted billionaire Elon Musk's offer to purchase the social media company for around $44 billion. I guess he's the world's richest man now. I show Twitter a lot on my YouTube channel. It has a lot of great. It's a whole side of the internet. We'll have to see what this will bring. I think there could be a lot of uses. What's this one? RIP Twitter. We got CNN. We got
So how do we get to this point? Well, here is someone who was able to prove he could actually do this, prove he could bring the company private, and now, barring any hiccups, it is his. He does say in a statement here, free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. So in his mind, this is very serious and has been all along. He says he wants to make Twitter better than ever by, quote, enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, he says, and authenticating all humans. So he is approaching this in the same way he approaches Tesla and SpaceX. He's on a mission. He wants to save the digital planet, and in his mind, Twitter is critical to that.
Except that we're all more affected by this than we are SpaceX and Tesla. This affects all of us in terms of misinformation. How will this change our lives? And when he says open it up to free speech, does that allow more misinformation on the platform?
I think we're going to have to see what he does and exactly what rules he decides to follow or not follow. There are obviously local and state and federal laws all around the world that apply to these platforms. He's going to have to follow at least some of those rules, I would expect. So I think it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He hasn't really released any details, any specifics yet, and he hasn't really had to about what this vision of making Twitter, more about free speech. How is he going to pull that off? We don't know.
Yeah. He said in his offer letter that Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. There are a lot of people on the right, Brian, who believe that as he talks about free street speech, and he says he hopes even his worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means. What does this mean for the former president who's been kicked off of the platform?
And that spirit, which is on screen right now, that is actually that's the right spirit, right? He wants even his fiercest critics to be in the debate and to be on Twitter and to be heard. Now, what that means for Donald Trump and for other politicians who get booted off this platform, that's going to be a big question on day one whenever he actually walks into the office and takes control of this platform. He can, in theory, rewrite all of those rules. When I refer to laws about hate speech and about pornography on platforms, there's not a law that forbids Twitter from having Donald Trump on. That was a company choice, a company policy chance. I suspect those policies are going to change. When reading through the lines of this press release, the board decided it had to take this offer. The board did not want to take this offer necessarily. They looked for other buyers, as every indication. They now have to hand over the keys to Elon Musk unless there's a snag. I do suspect we're going to see politicians who were booted off get back on. Whether that's actually a good thing for Donald Trump, completely different question.
Yeah.
Whether it's actually a positive for him to be back on Twitter, completely different question.
Why wouldn't it just be a positive? He would
To
then,
have him back in the news cycle around the world?
Meaning for him, why wouldn't it be positive for him? To be back, to have a huge megaphone, to maybe run for president with his huge megaphone, this would be a plus for Donald Trump.
You could also make the case that Donald Trump suddenly be back in the news, very visible in a way that he hasn't been, would remind people of exactly why he was, why he lost his election, and why he was booted from office. So look, who knows? I think that's an example of a broader question for Twitter, which is, if you get invited to something where there are no rules, where there is total freedom for everybody, do you actually want to go to that party? Or are you going to decide to stay home? And that's a question for Twitter users. Some Twitter users might love the idea that there's going to be absolutely no moderation and no rules at all. Others might not want to be anywhere near that. Am I crazy, Matt?
No, you're right. And what happens to the advertising? I mean, if there's no moderation or little moderation, do the advertisers stay away? What does that do to the business prospects for Twitter itself?
I think that's very much an open debate, and we don't know the answer yet, and we're going to find out from Elon Musk.
On a personal level, at this point, I would say I'm a little tired of the internet. The next company that I do, one of the things that I think would be important is that it has some long-term beneficial effect. I'm interested in doing something that's in a different sphere, going back to why I originally came out to Silicon Valley, which was to study energy physics.
Stay tuned for CNN.com.
Real estate is starting to finally go down in price. I think almost by definition, having a traditional American way of life is antithetical to Silicon Valley, or at least the two cannot coincide. It's not attracting those in search of easy money to the degree it was a year or so ago. You have to spend a tremendous amount of your time at work. So there's no such thing as the 8-hour day in Silicon Valley in any field. Approximately 2 years ago, I started X.com. We were only about 5 people in total. The company is now over 600 people. I would say it's been fairly successful, given that X.com, now called PayPal, is the #1 financial site in the world. You want to kick it off, Harris? It got to the point where I didn't really want to be I was neither well suited to run a company of that size, nor was I particularly interested in running a 600 plus person company. So I decided to remain as a director of the company, but look for something else to do. On a personal level, at this point, I would say I'm a little tired of the internet. The next company that I do, one of the things that I think would be important is that it has some long-term beneficial effect. I'm interested in doing something that's in a different sphere, going back to why I originally came out to Silicon Valley, which was to study energy physics.
I am glad that Elon is no longer as firmly embedded in the Silicon bubble. It's been a roller coaster ride in terms of watching Elon go through the trials and tribulations of working, and the toll that's it takes on a relationship.
I was in hospital on and off for 2 months. I got malaria when I went to visit South Africa. I came within 36 hours of dying.
It was unbelievable. I wasn't scared then because I just couldn't consider the fact that you might die.
Having gone through that experience really gives me a sense for the other aspects of life and appreciating friends and family and spending time with people that you love.
Just the idea of you being felled by this little mosquito was really shocking.
And as a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, you don't really do that very much.
Yeah, so look at all these landings you did.
I just bought a plane. I've always wanted to fly and to learn to be a pilot, and I should get my pilot's license very soon, actually. It's nice to have a few cool assets, like the McLaren plane, a couple of things, but I would have had a lot to regret if I died in hospital, having, very much neglected a lot of things on the personal side for business.
Is Twitter biased against conservatives? That's the title of this new working paper by professors at MIT and Yale. In the words of Professor David Rand, the root of the challenge when looking at this is that Republicans, conservatives, are substantially more likely to share misinformation or fake news than Democrats are. Thus, as social media's platforms, the policies aimed at reducing nonsense and boosting real news would ensnare Republican users more often. This research team found wide bipartisan support for platforms trying to reduce misinformation. People don't want QAnon craziness all up in their news feeds. But, Professor Rand says, putting these two observations together shows the problem. In responding to
we got Wall Street Journal now with the Twitter, the new owner of Twitter coming in. They're saying he's buying it for $44 billion. That's a lot of money. I guess that comes with the offices and all that too, right? It's not just the website. You also get the offices, the employees, all the ad revenue business, everything, other brand deals, merchandise. They probably even have computers and software and servers and whatnot. It's a big thing, $44 billion. Plus the IPO, the stock. It's huge, yeah, $44 billion at Twitter. Twitter was always very open. I only see them delete a couple people's account. Like that Martin Shkreli, they deleted him, but other than that, they never really deleted many people. Jack Dorsey. Netflix should have a Twitter widget on the PC version so you can tweet about it. Oh, I like Twitter on my Xbox. I have a Twitter app. There's a Twitter app on my Xbox. You're able to like tweet your clips and all that. I like that. That's pretty cool. It makes it really easy. I have to get a new phone. My iPhone got stolen, but once I get a new phone, I'll be back to tweeting on Twitter with my phone. So if you want me to get it, if you want me to if you want me to be tweeting again, you have to I have to get a new phone. I'm thinking of the iPhone 7. There's an iPhone 7 for a good price. PayPal. Oh. So Twitter's always been good, but so has PayPal. PayPal's a great company too. For money, everything money on the internet. That's how I always seen it. It was everything money on the internet. You wanted to buy, sell, you want to even get money for gifts, donations, all different stuff. You could do it all on your one PayPal account, and you still can. They've been a solid company for many, many years. Don't believe anything anybody tells you about. It's one of the greatest companies, PayPal. They're one of the best, and Elon owns it. It's the only one I use, the only one that's compatible with me. I don't even have the time to go on use any other thing because PayPal does so good. Twitter business. But there is all these different payment platforms, but PayPal's always been so good with me that I never had to go looking for like any of the other ones. But I know a lot of people are doing good with all those other ones. Ethereum and all that. Oh, not the icon. I've seen some way better stuff here. I like this. But I'm getting off the computer now next month. Like on once that hits the 20, or actually it's gonna be pretty cold on the 29th. But I'm getting my e-bike battery, so I'm gonna be chilling. I'm not even gonna be like trying. Well, I'll still be on the internet, obviously. I can't ride the e-bike all the time. I'm gonna have to go home and get on the internet. But I won't be on the internet as much as I am now. No, but when you're bored, you don't have anything else to do. You end up on the internet. But now I'm gonna have the e-bike battery. I need the battery. I'll be riding the bike a lot of the time. Then I won't even be on the. Well, I guess I'll be on here to upload videos. I'll be getting a lot of videos on the e-bike. And then just so happens the guy that used to make videos on the e-bike that I have, he's now switched over to a new motorcycle. He's not on the e-bike anymore. So I'll be the one riding the e-bike. But I need my hand fixed tattoo. I do need my hand fixed. So I'm going to try to do that. I was looking at some WD-40 earlier. Some uses of WD-40. There's some good uses to WD-40. You can do some nice cleaning up on the bike and everything I've seen. So I have a big can to do some more cleaning up on the bike with the WD-40. Anyways, Twitter, yes, Elon Musk, they say is going to be the new owner and all that. Yeah, I watched some video of WD-40 cleaning a bike. Yeah. It's bike season. Whether you have a mountain bike or an e-bike or a BMX bike, any kind of bike, you got to get a bike. I just heard my bike. Because I have the alarm on mine.
How well does this product actually work? Hi everybody, I'm Basso Contour. Stay tuned, let's find out. And here you can see my bike chain from my mountain bike in pretty bad shape. So I'm going to go ahead and use WD-40 degreaser, and I'm going to go ahead and shake it up and start applying it to the chain. I let it sit on the chain actually for about 5 minutes, and then I rinse it off with a garden hose, as you see right here. As you might have seen, was in far better shape, and you can see here, look, in Dublin, California, I'm Basso Contour. Thanks for watching, everybody.